was, speaking of stuffed jocks, Peacemaker.
Oh, yep. Okay, yep.
Have you had a chance to check out the series yet?
No, I want to watch Suicide Squad first. I know you said you don't necessarily need to, but I feel I need to. I just want to watch it first, just for the continuity of it. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's this series follows directly on from last year, 2001, the 2001 version of Suicide Squad by James Gunn, not the first one that we pretend doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And it focuses on John Cena's character Peacemaker from the DC Suicide Squad. And basically he joins a group known as Project Butterfly, very similar to the project that he's in the movie, where he's taking on some weird alien force. So in Project Butterfly, they're hunting down these little sort of alien bug things that kind of look like butterflies, kind of look like praying mantis, that dig into your brain and take over human beings and basically live hidden in the world. And in the most recent episode, so there's been 6 so far out of the 8. In the 6th episode, they show a bunch of butterflies taking over humans.
Oh wow,
that's intense. Like, they go in through the mouth and just burrow their way into the brain, so there's blood coming out of these people's mouths. I was like, okay, yeah, they're definitely injured and probably basically dead now.
Yeah, wow, okay.
And yeah, it's like a pretty typical James Gunn movie type thing, where he just throws a crap ton of jokes at you. Let's just throw heaps out there. If 50% stick, then that's a good success rate. And honestly, a lot more than 50% are sticking. Like, there might be like 2 or 3 scenes throughout a whole hour episode, but I'm like, okay, that went on for just a bit too long, or didn't quite land. But a lot of the time it's landing. The soundtrack is amazing, with like really classic rock and roll songs and dance songs. And I think the coolest part is they're giving Peacemaker a lot more depth to his character than he had in the movie, where obviously in a movie with, I think, 6 or 7 other characters, they kind of have to pick and choose who gets a lot of focus. Whereas with this, it's all about him, his backstory. At one point, he's crying over being sort of abandoned by his father. He struggles to make friends just because he has those abandonment issues, so he kind of just pushes people away just with his smart comments and things like that. And then, yeah, it turns out he may have murdered his own brother. So there's a lot of depth to this character and why he is who he is. And I think my favorite moments are how tied into the overall DC universe it is. Because obviously Peacemaker is kind of like maybe a D tier DC superhero. But because of that, he has the freedom to kind of shit talk the bigger DC characters like Batman, Superman, Flash, and Aquaman. So he basically calls out Batman for, if he just killed some people, the world would be a lot safer. But because he has to lock them up and they always escape, he calls out Superman for sort of just being the righteous guy that he is. Someone asks him, hey, do you know Flash? He's like, yeah, I know Flash. He's a dick. And then he basically insinuates that Aquaman has sex with fish.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, really cool. Heads up, make sure you watch until the very end of the credits, because every episode has a little post-credits outtake scene, which is always hilarious. And then in the trivia, I found that James Gunn wrote this show during the COVID lockdowns, the full 8-episode series, without ever having it actually picked up. He just assumed that, I'm bored, I'm just going to write this series and it's never going to get picked up. But then HBO saw it, and I'm like, yep, let's get it. We'll chuck it on our streaming service, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised, and I'm fairly certain we're going to get a second season.
Hectic. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out Peacemaker. And in particular, the opening credits.
Okay.
The opening credits are the funnest thing I've seen for ages.
Is it like a dance or something? I think I've seen this guy on TikTok. Like he went to like, they're like, oh, do John Cena in Peacemaker, because he like does like dances of famous people, but then he just disappeared and you could just see dance in the background because John Cena. And like I was watching it, I was like, this looks pretty ridiculous. I was literally watching it like 20 minutes ago before we jumped on this. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a full-on intricate dance number with all the characters and stuff coming in. His pet eagle Eagly comes in and dances with him, and it's crazy. Like, it's such a good intro. It's one of those intros where it comes up with the skip intro prompt. I'm like, nope, I'm going to watch this intro every single time.
Yeah, nice.
Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Blake Robinson, Brian and June Hart, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hackliff, Jaxon Carr, and Tracy Apps.